It's a quiet summer day in 2002 in a bustling neighborhood in Jinan, Shandong, China. The sun beats down on a row of unassuming homes where families go about their lives oblivious to the darkness hidden just beneath their feet. In one house, a team of police officers acting on a tip about illegal activity begins digging into a concrete slab in a dusty, locked room. As their tools chip away, the air grows heavy with an unspoken dread. Then the unthinkable happens. They uncover a burlap sack. Inside a human skeleton, its bones brittle and cold. 4 more sacks follow each, revealing the same grim truth: 5 bodies hidden for years, right under the noses of the people living there. I can't help but wonder, how do you live in a house, raise a family, and never suspect the horror buried beneath you? This wasn't just a crime scene. It was a secret so dark it defied belief. The police stood frozen, staring at the remains, their minds racing. Who were these people? How did they end up here, sealed away like forgotten relics? And who could orchestrate something so twisted, so calculated, that it stayed hidden for over half a decade? This is the story of a case that shook Jinan to its core, a twisted case of greed, betrayal, and a chilling cover-up. 5 men vanished without a trace. In 1996, their families left in anguish, grasping at shadows. When the truth finally emerged, it wasn't just the crime that shocked the city, it was the mastermind behind it. How could one person pull this off, and why? Stick with me, because this story is far from over. What kind of mind could hide such a secret for so long?
Let's step back to December 1996 in the heart of Jinan, Shandong, a city humming with life. It's a cold winter, and for 5 families, the world is about to unravel in ways they could never imagine. This is the timeline of a mysterious disappearance case that left a city grasping for answers, a puzzle so complex it stumped everyone for years. It all begins on December 18, 1996, with a man named Liu Wei, a 28-year-old bank clerk known for his quiet routine. Liu works at a local bank, clocks out after his usual 8-hour shift, and heads home to cook dinner for his wife Chen Mei and their young daughter. Chen, a busy professional, picks up their daughter from school, expecting to find Liu at home, the smell of dinner wafting through their modest apartment. But when she walks in that evening, the house is dark. No Liu, no dinner, no note. You might think, maybe he stepped out, but Liu isn't the type to vanish. He's not on a cell phone. Those were rare back then, so Chen waits, her worry growing as the hours tick by. By nightfall, with no sign of him, she's frantic, checking with relatives and friends. Nobody has seen Liu since he left work at 3 p.m. The next day, December 19th, the mystery deepens. Chen, now desperate, takes leave from work and visits Liu's bank. His colleagues confirm he left early the previous day, but never showed up for his shift today. It's as if he's evaporated. Chen reports him missing to the Jinan police, her voice trembling with fear. But Liu isn't the only one. That same day, another man, Zhao Feng, a 27-year-old, who's been staying at his uncle's house to care for his hospitalized mother, vanishes. Zhao tells his uncle he's heading to work, but by evening he's nowhere to be found. His mother confirms he never visited the hospital that day. His uncle, alarmed, files a missing persons report. Then, like dominoes, more cases pile up. On December 19th, Zhang Hao, a respected chief accountant at another Jinan bank, fails to show up for work. His staff, swamped with urgent tasks, send someone to his home. His wife, shocked, insists Zhang left for work that morning, even telling her they'd eat out that night. She's searched everywhere, friends, family, neighbors, but Zhang's gone. 2 more men, Wang Qiang and Xu Tao, both in their late 20s, also disappear that day. Both were seen at their workplaces in the morning, but after lunch, they never return. Their families, like the others, are left reeling, filing reports, with a police force now facing an unprecedented crisis. 5 men, all gone within 48 hours. I can't help but wonder what it must have felt like for these families. Hope fading with every unanswered phone call, every fruitless search. The police dig into the men's lives and uncover a startling connection: they all knew each other.
Wang Qiang and Xu Tao are brothers-in-law. Zhao Feng is Wang's childhood friend. Zhang Hao and Liu Wei the bankers were Wang's middle school classmates. But the real twist, a financial thread ties them together. In early December 1996, Zhang Hao, the accountant, transferred 1 million yuan, about $150,000 at the time, from his bank's funds into accounts linked to Wang Qiang and Xu Tao. That money was funneled into a stock investment with GF Securities, leaving 997,000 yuan. Wang then passed the bulk of it to Liu Wei, who withdrew 97,000 yuan in cash on December 18th, the same day he and Zhao vanished. The police are now staring at a chilling possibility. These disappearances aren't random. Was it greed? A deal gone wrong? The families cling to hope, but as days turn to weeks, the trail goes cold. Jinan buzzes with rumors. Did they run off with the money, or is something darker at play? For 6 years, these questions hang unanswered, the case fading into a haunting mystery. What could tie 5 men to such a sudden, silent end? In December 1996, Jinan's police force faced a baffling crisis. 5 men, Liu Wei, Zhao Feng, Zhang Hao, Wang Qiang, and Xu Tao, vanished within 2 days. The city was on edge and the pressure was mounting. I can't help but wonder what it felt like for those detectives staring at 5 missing persons reports, each one a life unraveled without a trace. This was no ordinary case, and the investigation that followed would test their resolve, leading to a forensic breakthrough years later that no one saw coming. The police began with the basics, piecing together the victims' lives. They interviewed families, co-workers and friends, learning that the men were connected. Wang Qiang and Xu Tao were brothers-in-law. Zhao Feng was Wang's childhood friend, and Zhang Hao and Liu Wei were their middle school classmates. This wasn't a coincidence. Digging deeper, detectives uncovered the financial thread, a 1 million yuan transfer from Zhang Hao's bank to accounts linked to Wang and Xu, funneled into a stock investment. By December 18th, Liu Wei had withdrawn 97,000 yuan in cash. The money trail was suspicious, but it led nowhere concrete. Searches of homes, workplaces, and local haunts turned up nothing. No bodies, no witnesses, no clues. The case stalled, and by 1997 it was a cold case whispered about in Jinan's streets, but unsolved. Fast forward to August 2002. A tip about suspected illegal activity, rumors of antique smuggling, brought police to a quiet home in Jinan's Tianhe district. Expecting contraband, officers instead found something far worse. In a locked room at the back of the house, they noticed a concrete slab oddly placed near a window. Breaking it open, they uncovered 5 burlap sacks, each containing human remains. I can only imagine the chill that ran through that room. Forensic analysis revealed the victims had died from severe blunt force trauma, to the skull likely from a heavy tool like a sledgehammer. The remains were identified through employee IDs found nearby: Liu Wei, Zhao Feng, Zhang Hao, Wang Qiang, and Xu Tao, the missing men from 1996. The forensics team estimated the deaths occurred 5 to 6 years earlier, around late 1996, aligning with the disappearances. The concrete had sealed the bodies, slowing decomposition and masking any odor, explaining why no one noticed. The police realized this wasn't just a crime scene, it was a hidden tomb right in a family's home. Who lived here, and how could they not know? The investigation shifted to the residence and the property's owner, a man who'd kept a dark secret for years. What kind of person could hide 5 bodies in plain sight, and why? In August 2002, the discovery of 5 bodies hidden under a concrete slab in a Jinan home sent shockwaves through the city. The police now had a crime scene, but the question loomed: who could orchestrate such a chilling cover-up? As the investigation deepened, suspects began to emerge, each revelation peeling back layers of a twisted case. I can't help but wonder how trust, something we all rely on, can blind us to the darkest secrets. The house belonged to a couple, Li Wei and Zhang Mei, who'd lived there for 5 years. When questioned, they seemed genuinely shocked about the bodies. Li Wei, a soft-spoken man, claimed the locked room in the West Wing held only old junk per the homeowner's instructions. Zhang Mei echoed this, insisting she knew nothing about the room's contents. Their stories, though, didn't quite align. Li Wei's nervous glances and Zhang's vague answers raised red flags. The police pressed further, asking why they'd never questioned the locked room. Li Wei admitted he'd entered it once just days before moving out and saw only a concrete slab draped in red velvet. He thought it was a quirky design choice, nothing more, but something in his tone, maybe guilt, maybe fear, suggested he was holding back.
Then came the twist: the house wasn't theirs. It belonged to a man named Chen Dong, a friend who'd let them live there rent-free in 1997. Chen had one strict rule: stay out of the West Room, where he allegedly stored valuable items. Li Wei, grateful for the free home, never pushed back even when Chen's insistence felt odd. You might think, why not ask questions? But free rent in a new city can quiet curiosity. When a neighbor, Mrs. Yang, reported seeing Chen overseeing a cleanup crew at the house days after Li and Zhang moved out, the police zeroed in. She noted Chen's panic when she asked about some burlap sacks being loaded onto a truck, especially after mentioning a nearby police checkpoint.
The police learned Chen had vanished shortly after the cleanup attempt. Li Wei provided Chen's last known address, but he was gone, leaving his wife and daughter with no answers. The neighbor's account painted Chen as nervous, almost frantic, when questioned about the sacks. Was he the mastermind? The police couldn't say for sure legally. He was a person of interest, not yet a confirmed suspect. But the pieces were falling into place: a hidden room, a secretive owner, and a failed attempt to move evidence. What drove Chen Dong to such lengths, and what was he hiding from everyone, even those closest to him? By 2009, the Jinan case, once a haunting mystery, was finally coming into focus. The discovery of 5 bodies in 2002 had pointed the police toward Chen Dong, the elusive homeowner who'd vanished after a suspicious cleanup attempt. I can't help but wonder what it must have felt like for the families waiting over a decade for justice, only to face a suspect who seemed to have outrun the law. The trial that followed would lay bare the truth of this twisted case, sticking strictly to the facts established in court. Chen Dong's capture came unexpectedly in September 2009, not through a dramatic manhunt, but via an unrelated fraud case in Kunming, Yunnan. Using the alias Ma Qiang, he'd swindled 50,000 yuan from a local manhan who tracked him down and turned him over to the police. During questioning, officers noticed Chen's fake ID and cross-checked it against their database, revealing his true identity as the prime suspect in the Jinan murders. It was a stroke of luck. After years of dead ends, the man who'd allegedly orchestrated the deaths of Liu Weijiao, Feng Zhanghao, Wang Qiang, and Xu Tao was finally in custody. At the trial in 2016, Chen initially denied the murder charges, claiming the 5 victims had killed each other over a financial dispute involving 1 million yuan. He admitted only to hiding the bodies, alleging he acted out of fear of being implicated. But the prosecution's evidence was damning. Forensic reports confirmed all 5 victims died from blunt force trauma, likely from a sledgehammer, with injuries too consistent to suggest a chaotic brawl. Financial records traced the 1 million yuan from Zhang Hao's bank to accounts linked to Wang Qiang and Xu Tao, then to Chen, who'd pocketed the bulk of it. Witness testimony, including Li Wei's account of Chen's secretive rules about the West Room, painted a picture of calculated deception. Under intense questioning, Chen's defense crumbled. He confessed to luring Liu Wei and Zhao Feng to his home on December 18, 1996, killing them with a sledgehammer to secure the money. The next day, he invited Wang Qiang, Xu Tao, and Zhang Hao, drugging their tea with sedatives before delivering fatal blows. He hid the bodies under a concrete slab, believing it would conceal his crime forever. The court also uncovered Chen's history of financial misconduct, including embezzling 4 million yuan from a previous employer and pocketing 130,000 yuan as a cashier. In July 2016, the court found Chen Dong guilty of multiple counts of murder, embezzlement, and fraud, sentencing him to death. He appealed, arguing the verdict was too harsh, but in 2018, the appellate court upheld the ruling. On September 19, 2018, Chen's execution was carried out. The families of the victims present at the trial sat in silence as the verdict was read. Their years of grief finally met with a somber resolution. Justice was served, but could it ever erase the pain of those lost years? The Jinan case, with its chilling discovery of 5 bodies hidden under a concrete slab, left an indelible mark on the city and its people. For the families of Liu Wei, Zhaofeng, Zhang Hao, Wang Chang, and Xu Tao, the 1996 disappearances were a wound that festered for over a decade. When Chen Dong's trial concluded in 2018, justice was served, but I can't help but wonder if it brought true closure. This twisted case, driven by greed and betrayal, offers lessons that linger, urging us to reflect on trust, ambition, and the cost of unchecked desires. The public reaction in Jinan was a mix of shock and outrage. When the bodies were found in 2002, local newspapers ran headlines about the House of Horrors, sparking debates about how such a crime could go unnoticed. Residents speculated wildly. Some believed the victims had fled with the stolen money, others whispered of darker fates. By the time Chen's execution made news, social media posts on platforms like Weibo captured a collective sigh of relief, but also a lingering unease. How could a man like Chen, described by neighbors as charming and generous, harbor such darkness? The case became a cautionary tale, reminding Jinan's community to question even the most seemingly benign offers, like a free home with a locked room. For Li Wei and Zhang Mei, the couple who lived in Chen's house, the revelation was shattering. They'd trusted their friend, never suspecting the West Room hid a grim secret. Their story underscores a hard truth. Trust can blind us. As one commenter put it, free gifts often come with strings attached. The families of the victims, meanwhile, faced years of uncertainty, their lives paused in a haze of grief. Public sympathy poured out, with vigils held in Jinan to honor the men lost to Chen's greed. This case also highlights the destructive power of ambition gone astray. Chen Dong was intelligent, a gifted accountant who could have thrived honestly. Instead, his hunger for wealth led him to embezzle millions and take 5 lives. It's a stark reminder that brilliance without integrity can spiral into catastrophe. Some people say Chen's story is a one-off, a rare descent into evil, but is it greed can tempt anyone? And this case forces us to ask where the line is drawn. As I reflect, I'm struck by the fragility of the lives touched by this crime. The families, the unsuspecting couple, even the neighbors who sensed something was off, they all carried the weight of Chen's actions. The police, too, deserve credit for their persistence, catching Chen through a stroke of luck after years of dead ends. Yet one question haunts me: if Chen hadn't slipped up in that fraud case, would he still be out there living under another name? What do you think? How many secrets like this are still hidden, waiting to be uncovered?